Hi, Vince Graham here. The old Sullivan's Island Elementary School is gone. We, like many others, want to see a new school built on the island. The purpose of this presentation is to describe a proposed compromise. The proposed design raises concern. 500 students is a large increase over the old school. Locating a school on oceanfront property sounds good, but beachfront structures can be a challenge. This is particularly so for one which has a broad side on the ocean that is longer than 2 football fields. The scale of the proposed building is more than twice that of the old building. Concerns with building in the most storm-prone area raises questions about height, views, and the building's impact in a sensitive environmental area. We've questioned whether the character of the building is in keeping with human-scale Sullivan's Island. As taxpayers, we're also concerned with the upfront cost of the building, as well as the cost of insuring and maintaining such a large structure on the beach. An increase in the amount of traffic such a larger school would bring may negatively impact quality of life of adjacent neighbors. And finally, we're concerned about the size of the proposed playground. Unlike the other concerns, this one's not about the playground being too big, but that it's too small. We feel like these are all legitimate concerns. However, for the sake of assuring that a school can be built on the island in a timely manner, we'd like to take the first concern off the table. Here's the current location, shown in yellow, and shown in red is the location we suggest would be better. We know this location has been considered before and dismissed. However, because of the aforementioned concerns, we suggest it warrants reconsideration. Our vision is for a model school of excellence. The location of Mount Pleasant Academy is remarkably similar to that which we propose. In fact, 2 tracks are within view of one another across the Marsh and Intercoastal Waterway, separating Mount Pleasant from Sullivan's Island. Zooming in, this shows the site for Mount Pleasant Academy. The property is adjacent to playing fields, to a water and sewer treatment facility. It's on the marsh and it's adjacent to residential homes. Our proposed location is north of Middle Street, just to the east of the mount. It is of similar size as the land upon which Mount Pleasant Academy sits. It is next door to playing fields, a water and sewer treatment facility. It's located on the marsh and it's adjacent to residential homes. Now back to Mount Pleasant Academy. The school is built for up to 500 students, but you wouldn't know it from this angle. Its Center Street facade, shown by this arrow, is very narrow. The architect concealed the large mass of the school along its length. Here it is from ground level. From the front of the school, one has no idea how large it is. We appreciate this technique and think it could be used to even greater effect on Sullivan's Island. Here's how. Here's another view of Mount Pleasant Academy from above. Outline in red, we can then move it around for comparison. Back to Sullivan's Island. The site we propose is behind the Middle Street tennis courts and sandwiched between a thick line of trees to the east and the mound to the west. You can see how such a building could fit on the site. Let's look at it from another angle. Mount Pleasant Academy from above Center Street, and then moved over to Sullivan's Island. Again, notice how perfectly it fits between the mound and line of trees, like it was meant for it. Finally, this angle. This is an image of the back of Mount Pleasant Academy. Tan area between the marsh and building is now the playground. This photo was taken when the playground was under construction. Moving the building onto the proposed location, you can get an idea of how an outline of the building would look from the marsh. Okay, flipping back around to the view from overhead the interior of the island. This arrow shows the view one would get from Middle Street. Of course, as beautiful as this is, we'd want our elementary school to have a distinguishing custom facade, perhaps something less formal with siding rather than brick to reflect the more relaxed nature consistent with island character. We'd also want to strive for something that was inherently civic, as it would be a prominent part of our island center. Back to Mount Pleasant Academy, we recommend using its architect's technique to reduce the scale and mass of the building by positioning it behind the facade, which we can hide even better due to the fact that the mound to the west and trees to the east provide a golden opportunity at concealing the large mass. And from the back, one would have a clear view of the marsh and Ben Sawyer Bridge. Here's another shot of the marsh side of the building from overhead. This portion of the school would be 1 story and, as at Mount Pleasant Academy, could house the cafeteria and marshfront terrace, which enjoys this view over the playground. Here's the Sullivan's Island Lighthouse. I'll have more to say about the playground in a moment. To summarize thus far, the proposed location can accommodate a 500-student school the size of Mount Pleasant Academy, the architecture plans for which, by the way, are already fully paid for and owned by the Charleston County School District. Now let's consider what a change in location would mean for scale. Because of its proposed location in the most storm-prone area of the island, this necessitates building more steps and substantially more ramp Building up also makes the building higher than the maximum allowed for the island. From the beach, only a small part of the old school could be seen, but we're told this is what would be seen with the proposed school. From an environmental standpoint, this shows the footprint of the proposed school on the oceanfront location. Let's color it in, then overlay Mount Pleasant Academy. You can see how much larger the proposed school is. Reducing the building footprint would mean less stormwater runoff in an environmentally sensitive area. Finally, I'd like to mention scale as it relates to island character. Where did the architect get his inspiration for this tower? Then driving down Coleman one day, it hit me how eerily similar the tower proposed for Sullivan's Island Elementary School is to the one in front of Moultrie Plaza. Rather than the elementary school looking like a 3-story strip mall, it could be designed in a manner that accommodates 500 students, but is smaller in scale and more in keeping with the island's character. Again, by making the street facade of the building more narrow, as it would appear from Middle Street. Okay, we've shown how the new location can address concerns related to scale. What about cost? Considerable time and money have already been spent on the proposed school's design. As of September 25th, Dr. McGinley reported it to be over $600,000. They say the train has already left the station, but has it? No, the train has only been designed. It's not too late to reconsider, especially when the Charleston County School District already owns plans for another perfectly good train that would require relatively little redesign. The Mount Pleasant Academy design would be substantially less expensive to build than the proposed school. A school built on the new location wouldn't have to be built up so high. Long term, taxpayers would stand to save hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in insurance costs and long-term maintenance. So building in a new location would satisfy concerns related to cost too. Okay, what about traffic and playground? Allow me to take you to the north side of the mound. This photo indicates that by removing some of the brush, there's plenty of room to build a 2-lane road in the flat area between the mound and the fence adjacent to the water and sewer plant. You'll see why this is important. Here again is the school. There's ample room for an access road to be built running around the tennis courts and between the mound and school. A separate road could be extended from the temporary town hall parking lot around the mound to provide bus access. Note how these access roads come off Middle Street, not through Jasper or any other neighborhood street. What does this mean for residents? Well, for one, it adds vitality to our central business district. Second, it takes traffic off of neighborhood streets. Check this out. It's expected that less than 100 of the 500 children who will attend Sullivan's Island Elementary School will live on the island. The other 400 or so are expected to be driven to school via automobile from the mainland or the Isle of Palms. Most of the faculty are also expected to live off island and arrive and depart by car. Those students bussed in from the Isle of Palms or mainland will follow this route. However, with a new school built here, school traffic through this residential area would be eliminated. And finally, there's the parking issue. We all know that this can get challenging in the commercial area, especially during the summer and on weekend. Back to our school site. The blue rectangle indicates a bank of 20 parking spaces. 20 of these spaces could go here, and an additional 34 spaces here for a total of 54 new spaces. The upside of these spaces is that when not being used by the school while in session during the school year, they could be used by commercial patrons at night and on weekend. So not only are traffic concerns from a larger school addressed, but a significant parking challenge is alleviated. Which brings us to the last concern, the playground. As planned at the oceanfront location, the amount of land used in parking lots, driveways, and other access points, along with the footprint of the school, leave only bits of land available for the playground. So back to Mount Pleasant Academy for inspiration. From overhead, this shows the school's playground. I've already mentioned its terrace outside the cafeteria, which overlooks the playground. The area also includes this wonderful little amphitheater. So back to our overhead. Let's outline the playground and move it to the marsh side of our location on Sullivan's Island. Not only can the site accommodate a playground as big as the one at Mount Pleasant Academy, but we get a bonus of this beautiful maritime forest. Currently, this area is being used to store piles of dirt, but thanks to the Parks Foundation, it has wooded paths and a little-used dock, on deep water no less. So not only does this site provide the potential for a much better playground than the oceanfront location, its marsh frontage and creek accessibility would make it even better than the great playground at Mount Pleasant Academy. And the marsh offers so much more, particularly for a school focused on marine life and the environment. Think of the possibilities of this natural laboratory. Finally, I'd like to mention another tremendous island asset that would benefit school children. The mound is immediately adjacent to the school site and enjoys tremendous views all around. This is a greatly underutilized town asset, and having a school next door could help bring it to life. Outlined in purple is the flat area on top of the mound. For perspective, let me direct your attention to one of my favorite outdoor places in the Lowcountry, the cistern at the College of Charleston. Many of us have been fortunate enough to attend concerts here or perhaps a memorable commencement ceremony. Consider the size of the cistern's outdoor area between its flanking historic buildings and St. Philip Street. Now let's bring it to the mound to compare the space. You can see how the area atop the mound could accommodate not one, but two spaces the size of the cistern. The current access to the top of the mound could be supplemented with additional sets of stairs from the school. Kids love to climb and explore, and the mound would be an inspiring place to encourage their curiosity. So a question comes to mind. If we choose to locate our school along the marsh, what is to become of the existing school site on the beach? It's an important question. 2 years ago, I produced a video suggesting that in lieu of building a beachfront school, the town could use its property to develop lots in the manner of the surrounding neighborhood and sell these lots to raise funds for various municipal improvement. Such development is not uncommon in other municipalities and has actually been done by the town in the past. For suggesting this idea, some question my motives and accuse me of wanting to develop the land myself. For the record, I am not, nor have I ever been interested in developing the property, but I feel strongly that this land is a community asset belonging to everyone who live on Sullivan's Island. It is worth at least $20 million, and careful thought should be expended for its long-term use. Until such time as mature dialogue can take place about its disposition, I think it should simply be left as green space with some parking for bikes and golf carts. In summary, here's a list of 10 advantages for locating the school on Middle Street. Middle Street provides a less severe flood zone and a site more protected from the element. Because you won't have to build up so high, it will save money on the initial cost as well as maintenance and insurance expense down the road. The building won't be seen from the beach. Its mass will be obscured. Its facade will be smaller in scale and more consistent with the island's aesthetic character. There's more room for playground, which would have deep water access. Traffic through residential areas be reduced. Add supplemental parking for the commercial area. The school would add vitality to the center of town while making better use of our assets. Support would be assured from a clear majority of citizens. No referendum would be needed. I hope the ideas expressed here can lead to constructive conversation. Thanks so much for watching.